Welcome to our presentation on decreasing violence in Tanzania. I will be sharing with you a pilot study that we have conducted in preparation for an intervention trial. We have been conducting research in Tanzania since 2005 on violence and violence prevention. We found that unemployed, undereducated young men are most at risk for experiencing physical violence. They are perpetrators of theft. They can steal handbags, cell phones. They can go to a homestead and steal livestock. And for these deeds, they can become victims of homicide. The homicides are committed by men from the community in protection of the community. Amongst the many risk and protective factors that we looked at, the most malleable variable is employment or occupation. Yet in Africa, very few people are formally employed. Yet few studies have examined the potential of entrepreneurial programs, especially in Africa. To fill this gap, an intervention trial with 4 arms involving training in entrepreneurship, beekeeping, and health education was envisioned. To prepare for the intervention trial, we conducted this pilot study. The pilot research used a pre-test, post-test design. Youth camps in Tanzania are a very normal social phenomenon. Young men, when they finish school, many of whom are unemployed or underemployed, gather together in camps. And these camps have a specific place where they meet. They have activities, a name, and a designated leader. 4 of the 71 map street youth camps that we had access to were chosen. Baseline data were collected. Then the camps were randomized into intervention arms. The control had the introductory session and 1 health session. Entrepreneurship arm had our 6 entrepreneurship sessions, and by chance, another 6 sessions given to them by an NGO working in the urban area. Beekeeping had 6 sessions, and 1 arm had all sessions, which was 10. Respondents were interviewed 4 times at baseline, and then 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year after all the interventions were finished. The proportion of participants was compared across the intervention arms using chi-square or exact tests. Linear trends were investigated by regression. Individual income patterns of change were examined using spaghetti plots. A random effects modified Poisson regression model, including the control variables of birthplace, education, work, age group, and income group, was used to depict the relationship between violence and the 4 study arms. This photo here I'm sharing with you just to show who we're working with. You can see they're fairly young. The median age was 21. All through the sessions, they were very eager and excited to be part of the research. The results we found were that the arms were not significantly different in terms of age, educational level, assets, or role in violence. They weren't different in any ways that we expected would influence the results. Incomes fell and violence increased in the control arm. Incomes rose and violence decreased for all 3 intervention arms. The greatest income generation potential was in the entrepreneurship arm. Their incomes rose 150% to reach minimum wage. Entrepreneurship and beekeeping arms experienced significant change and violence over time. Here we have in figure 2 a spaghetti plot, and this is the income trajectory plots for each arm, showing change over time by weekly earnings. So you can see in the upper left we have the control group, and you see that their incomes decreased by about 33%, which was in line with the economy at the time. All three intervention arms increased income. The bottom two, which is beekeeping and the all interventions, increased about 50%. And entrepreneurship arm increased 150%, which allowed them to reach minimum wage, which allowed them to stabilize their lives. In Table 1, we have relative risk ratios for community violence exposure, and you can see that the beekeeping and entrepreneurship arms significantly experience decreased violence. Our conclusions are that micro business, and when we're talking micro business, we're talking selling tomatoes on the street, motorcycle transport, selling used clothes, coupled with entrepreneurship training, has the potential to increase well-being and decrease violence for those most at risk. The results of the pilot study indicate that an intervention trial is appropriate and needed. For policy implications, we can tell already that nurses and all health workers, as part of health policy, need to advocate for methods and resources that allow at-risk young men to earn a legal living. Thank you.